It's mock draft time. Who's going where? Find out next on Locked On NBA Big Board. Hello and welcome into Locked On NBA Big Board. I'm Leif Thulin, joined by James Barlowe. We've been working together quite a bit this week, not only on this podcast, but also on Locked On Jazz. And we've talked about all different scenarios. So we figured we'd give you every scenario, a mock draft in which both of us are making selections. James is going to have the odds, I'll have the evens, and we're going to compliment or criticize each other's picks and create dialogue. I'm sure it'll be civil. I'm just stirring up the pot real quick early. But for those of you listening, we appreciate you. But I also wanted to thank Game Time. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. All right, James. So the way I think we should do this, and you and I spoke very briefly beforehand, was we're going to take the picks that we would take, not exactly who we think will go. And I think we'll probably bring up, hey, I think in real life this is what's going to happen. But I like the way you see basketball, and so I'm curious where you're going on these, rather than estimating what the minds of basketball who are making the decisions are going to make, because we'll find that out soon enough. So without further ado, the first pick, the Atlanta Hawks select, according to James Barlowe.
All right, so if I'm in charge of the Atlanta Hawks, I'm going to disregard what his agent is doing. His agent has said, I don't care that we didn't really bring him in for a workout. We are going to draft Alex Sarr, and we're going to go from there. The Atlanta Hawks don't have picks in 2025, and I believe not 2027. So I don't think a full-on blow-up is going to happen. So we're going to take somebody with upside, talent, who does fit a need, Alex Sarr at the 5. And we're just going to be really athletic with Sarr and Jalen Johnson. And we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's a pick that, like you said, it doesn't sound likely right now, but I don't disagree with that. I think it's an interesting selection that the Hawks have altogether. Wouldn't be surprised if they make a trade. And that makes two even more interesting, because I know the Wizards don't really have any foundational pieces that I think they'd be sad to lose. The way I'd go with it is guard, because I don't see Donovan Clingan as the guy you really want to build around. I think there's a chance a guard does. So I'm between Rob Dillingham and Stephon Castle. And I'll go with Stephon Castle in this case, because there's at least versatility, and he'll be a positive on defense. And I think offensively, there's more growth to his game that can happen if he's given the time to grow. I know there's been players that have similar body types who've not done well, like Johnny Davis was taken and everyone thought, wow, this guy's awesome, was an All-American. Well, they're very different athletes. Johnny Davis was like a tough shot, mid-range muscle shooter where he'd back you down and shoot over the top, rebound the ball. Stephon Castle didn't get to show everything in his bag. I think he's going to be able to drive on pick and rolls. I think he's going to be able to facilitate better than he was able to demonstrate at Connecticut. And I think defensively is going to be a positive. So if you're going to get a positive on defense, and I think you can get a pretty solid positive on offense. He may not be a superstar, but I think you're at least getting someone with upside to be an all-star in the nation's capital. And I don't think that's the way they necessarily go. I think they'd be ecstatic to see Reece Uche, but I just personally don't see Reece Uche as having this on-ball creation game that warrants a number one pick in my eyes.
Hey, man, you're preaching to the choir here. I couldn't take Reece Uche 1. I definitely can't take him 2 either, because, I mean, you just drafted Bilal Coulibaly, and it's like you still need something like you said, a big swing for the fences. And I think Castle and Poole can work together, because now you got 2 playmakers. Let's assume that you keep Denny, so now you can go and you trade Kuzma. So now you can go Castle, Poole, Coulibaly, Denny, and then you got another pick later in the first round, and I think a big should be available there. So now you got size, you got length on the wings, you got enough playmaking because Denny can pass, Poole's an okay playmaker, and then I think Castle's going to be a good passer. So I really like that fit, and again, that still puts you in position to succeed in 2025, which projects to be a stronger draft. So I'm all for it. I guess I'm up here at number 3, and this is going to be on the fly. Obviously, I'm going to go against my mind, and I'm going to take Shea here at number 3, and we're just going to be a really, really big team in Houston. Okay, so again, I've spoken about it before. I think I'm a big Fred VanVleet fan, but small guard, he's aging, and if you want to get bigger, you can do it if you believe that Amin Thompson can handle your playmaking duties or be at least a co-playmaker with Jalen Green. So let's say in 3 years, I want to throw out a lineup of Amin Thompson, Jalen Green, Zachary Shea, Jabari Smith, and Alpern Şengün at the 5. If you tell me that Şengün can't close because we don't think he can defend at the end of the game in the playoffs, then we can slide in Tari Eason at the 4 and go Jabari Smith at the 5. We'll just be really, really, really long and really, really athletic. We still got scoring off the bench and Cam Whitmore. I would think they do need another guard eventually. Again, this is assuming 2 years down the line, but I'm going to shake it up. Do I think Shea is going to be – do I think he is a top 3 talent? Not necessarily, but I think he can fit in this role with Houston. He has an identity. He's tall, and he can shoot. And also, with those guys around him, there wouldn't be like crazy expectations as far as like what he's going to do. Actually, just thinking off the top of my head, this particular pick reminds me of Otto Porter in Washington when he was drafted there, where you had guys and you kind of need somebody who was young, who knew that had a particular skill set. And maybe that's what Richard Shea does in Houston.
Yeah, I like that pick. We're of the same mind that he's not the star, but I think he can play well in a role. And I think Houston's got the foundational pieces which would allow for him to settle into a nice role. At number 4, this is where not only in our mock, but I think in the actual draft, this is where the draft really starts for me, because unlikely it goes the way we have it. It's unlikely even the 3 players we chose go in the top 3.
Right.
But the Spurs hold the keys. Is there a trade up where they really like Shea? Maybe. Is there a trade up where they want Castle if Castle's getting moved up, and maybe he's there at 4, so they don't have to. But the Hawks have been rumored to want out of 1, and so 4 is to me where the mock really starts. And in this case, with Castle off the board, who would have been my top fit for the Spurs, I'm going with Rob Dillingham. Rob Dillingham and Victor Wembanyama could be one of the most potent offensive pick and rolls, pick and pop duos that we'll see for a long time. Dillingham will come off of Wembanyama and get so much space because of the gravity Wembanyama has as a roller, vertical lob threat, pick and pop guy, tremendous skill, all of the above. Jeremy Suhan can even pass the ball and use those pick and rolls and help create out of the short rolls. Everything that Dillingham does well would be accentuated and propped up by the Spurs, and all of his deficiencies defensively, well, guess who's back there? Victor Wembanyama. Doesn't matter. Like, you don't really even need to guard. I know that's not going to sound good, but you really don't need to guard, and Wembanyama's going to clean it up.
Let him go.
So that's a no-brainer to me at this spot, and I know that may sound weird to some who are like, oh, isn't Dillingham falling? I almost am skeptical of the rumors saying he's falling, because the Spurs have 2 picks. That fit is so perfect. And unless you take Stephon Castle at 4, like I said, who would be an amazing fit in my opinion as well, you have to get Dillingham. And I know they want Salaun at 8. I just can't envision a world where they have 2 cracks at getting Rob Dillingham and don't take him.
Look, I've been here since November. I've been trying to speak it into existence, as LeVar Ball once said. Get Dillingham to San Antonio and watch the fireworks happen. And he's very good off the catch. So now, while you're playing that 1-5 pick and roll. If you decide to make, and Wembanyama can pass, now you have a bona fide knockdown shooter. Like it's just a perfect fit. Like, make it happen, man. Let's not overthink this, San Antonio. That's your guy, Rob Dillingham.
All righty. Well, that's 4 picks. We're going to come back and go picks, starting with pick 5. So who is going to be the guy for the Detroit Pistons? That's a difficult question because, like I said, 4 starts the draft, but 5 is arguably the toughest pick. So I don't envy the Detroit Pistons, and in this case, I don't envy James. But coming up on the other side, we're going to discuss that and more. But first, a word from Game Time. Well, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices from views from your seat, and lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes all of the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Yes, that means, for me, Jazz tickets to become excited about seeing these rookies for the first time. Or if you want to see LeBron come to Utah like I do, find the Lakers and come and see him play. And it's just that easy. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes all of the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. They have last-minute deals, flash deals, zone deals, everything you can want. Easy to find and buy MLB tickets for every kind in your area. When I was in Chicago, I was perusing White Sox tickets to go to well at the Combine, and I got a panoramic view from my seat to make sure that my view wasn't obstructed by any stanchion, stairs, any personal object. I wanted to make sure I had a great sight line to see the game. So Game Time can give you all of that plus the lowest price guarantee. And if it's not matched, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute ticket deals, lowest price guaranteed. Alrighty, welcome back to Locked On NBA Big Board. I'm Leif Thulin. I just want to ask you guys a question. Are you guys watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On podcast, your team every day. So we got through 4 picks. Just to recap, in case you guys' memories aren't great, Alex Sarr, number 1. Number 2, Stephon Castle. Number 3, Zachary Risachet. Number 4, Rob Dillingham. Number 5, the Detroit Pistons select. And I hand it over to James Barlowe.
All right. Well, we don't have a coach right now, so it'll be interesting what input the coach does have in this situation. During the commercial break, I was sitting here trying to run the calculations, and I'm clearly on the clock. I am going to go with Reed Sheppard, number 5 to the Pistons. I feel like he can the Pistons need shooting. He can complement Cade. We're going to have Cade guard small forwards. We're going to try to figure out this Ivy situation to see if he is a starting starting guard, or is he a 6-man? I think you're fine either way. He has to figure it out because he played his best basketball this past season in Detroit when Cade was out. So he might just end up being a 6-man. So if that's the case, cool. We'll start Cade. We'll start Reed at the 2, whatever you want to call it, off guard. And then we'll have Asura Thompson. We still need shooting at the 4. Rumor is they're going to throw money at Tobias Harris. I don't know if I would personally do that, but you do need a veteran there, and Tobias definitely is a veteran. And then you still got Jalen Duren. Hopefully he can start contesting shots. So I'm going to go with Reed Sheppard here. This is a very, very tough pick for Detroit because they just have pieces that just kind of don't work. And maybe Reed is like the stabilizer. I know he needs to improve defensively, but we got Asura Thompson. I think Asura Thompson he's a two-way defender, to say the least. He can lock down your offense because he can't shoot, but he can definitely take out your best perimeter ball handler. So
yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
I think this is a really hard pick. I probably, the way my methodology of drafting rarely is fit-oriented, so I would probably go for someone I perceive to have higher top-end upside or potential.
Which is who?
Maybe Ron Holland, maybe Cody Williams. I don't love either of those fits, but I just think that they are better prospects than Reed
Yeah,
Shepherd. And
I,
so I don't disagree with your logic. It's just not the way I draft.
I get it.
And honestly, Troy Weaver's kind of drafted similarly to that in the past. Whether you could say, oh, the Pistons suck. Well, Cade Cunningham's missed a lot of time, and that's their best
Yes.
player. Jalen Duren has kind of been in and out with Cade Cunningham, which makes him so much better when Cade plays. Ivy's been in different spots. He's played 6-man. He's played as a point. He's played as a shooting guard. There's been no stability. So I'd consider, like, the player that I would like to go to them out of this entire draft class the most would be Reece. Like, he fits perfectly for the Pistons, what they want as
But he
a
won't
small
be
forward who
there.
shoots it, but he won't be there. So
Right.
so I agree there's not really a fit, but I think you still go upside and you figure out which players are the best when you actually have a chance to get better.
Trajan Langdon is in charge now.
Yeah.
Did he make the Trey Murphy selection? That'd be
He
interesting.
might have. Maybe it was Dan Gilbert there and
I know you're talking about Griffin.
Griffin. Sorry, Griffin.
Yeah.
Dan Gilbert was the Cavs.
It'd be interesting to see
David
what
Griffin.
they do.
That's right. I would like a player like that, of course, in this situation. Well, that's the tough pick. That's the tough pick.
Yeah.
So now we get to another tough pick, who I don't think there's really a right answer, especially the way the board has fallen for the Charlotte Hornets at number 6. Obviously, you got LaMelo Ball. You like Brandon Miller. Mark Williams is promising. So now what else? Yeah, like, what else are you going to get? I think I would go with either Cody Williams or – and so the other thing you point out is Klingen's there. But you don't need Klingen if you have Mark Williams. So this is where fit is. But do you go best player available? And I don't in this case, because center, I don't want to take away from a guy who's growing in the way that Mark Williams was at the end of last season. So that's one where I kind of think it's more difficult. Do you go veteran? I really have no idea what to do here. If I'm forced to choose, I would take Cody Williams, which is unfortunate because I really was hoping he would come to my Jazz. Cody Williams, the logic being, he can play multiple roles. Should LaMelo Ball be hurt? Should LaMelo Ball be traded? Some type of thing in the future. Cody Williams can be a plus-size guard. He can defend. He can hit open shots at a decent level. I don't think he's a great shooter, as I've said a million times. I like volume to tell me how good of a shooter he is. He shot 1.5 threes per game, but he shot 42%. And I just think he fits the youth of the team, and he's more of a focused guy than some of the players the Hornets have had in the past that I think has been a subpar team culture. So if forced to choose here, I would go with Cody Williams.
Yikes, man. Yikes. I get it, but you see, if you can't tell me, man, I would take the upside guy and then not take Ron Holland.
See, I think Ron Holland has more top end upside than Cody Williams. I think Cody Williams is 80th percentile, or like honestly 50 through 80 is higher than Holland's though.
I don't know, man. I don't know. All right. So the seventh pick.
Holland, would you take Holland to play with LaMelo Ball?
I don't want him in Charlotte.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is I don't believe in fit too much, but there are some that I can't get behind. Like there are some I can say whatever. Like I don't think Reed Shepherd's the perfect fit in Detroit either, but it's there's other factors that go through my mind, and I gotta say Holland's not the one I want in Charlotte.
I get it. All right, so 7th pick, and this is really gonna throw the draft off because I'm gonna go for Portland. I think we got it. We're gonna run it back with Scoot. Obviously, he's young. He showed some promise filling the stat sheet at the end of the year. And that's a good sign, because if your young guy can't get loose at the end of the year when the other teams are kind of folding, that's an issue. I don't know about Simons long term. I think it depends on what you do with Shaden. So this pick here, we're going to go Tijon Salon here. I'm going to throw you off at 8, Leif. I don't care. It's not about you. It's about me. So we're gonna go T-John here. Hopefully he can play the 4 long term. I think he's probably 2 years away, but it's a perfect situation for you to get better because Jeremy Grant doesn't play in April and he might not be there at the All-Star break. So that's where I'm going.
Well, that does throw a wrench in my plans. that is
the plan.
that is definitely, if there are points for like spiteful picks in this drill, that would be one. Well, what I'll guarantee you is the one team that doesn't need Donovan Clingan, the best player on the board is Donovan Clingan. And the Spurs surely don't need a rim protector and a future of their franchise at center. They have that in spades. So, who do I take?
Remember, you took Dillingham.
I took Dillingham, so I can't take Topic now. So that leaves me Ron Holland or Dalton Knecht. And I think Ron Holland is an interesting one, but the way that they're comprised with Dillingham running the show, with Vassell already there, Suhan not a great shooter. I want the spacing of the floor for Dalton Knecht, but my brain doesn't like that I'm going. You know what? I'm going best player available. I'm sticking to my guns. I'm going Ron Holland. Yeah. I do like the fit for the Spurs taking Knecht. I don't think that he will go there, but the way our board has fallen, I like that fit. But I gotta stick to my guns. The Spurs have the growth potential. Like, he can play what Keldon Johnson has been the last few years, and he can do that role. I mean, that's not even a terrible comparison. Their bodies are different, but that's not terrible at all. Just thought of that on the fly. But I'm going Ron Holland for the Spurs.
Hey, I don't really care about the Spurs in this situation because I'm a hater, and you know what? It might work out for you. So,
yeah, who knows? Well, now the draft's getting interesting. This is the easiest pick of the draft coming up next, but we're going to take a quick break. And then James, I put him on the hot seat at 5. This is the easiest pick of the draft. If he doesn't take the player that what I think he's going to take, this would be the most stunning development on the show that there's been. But first, let me tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is great. You guys know all about it. So Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It's the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. With Prize Picks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a Prize Picks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections, and you're locked in. And I like to do it on tennis. I've said this before during Grand Slams. Wimbledon's just right around the corner, and I'll pick more or less on aces on players that have big serves, and I tend to do pretty well on Prize Picks, and I love to use it. But if you guys aren't into tennis and you're craving basketball, even though the finals are over, fret not. Women's basketball is just getting started with young stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves alongside greats like Brianna Stewart and Asia Wilson. You could win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. Download the app today and use Locked On for a first deposit match up to $100. Alrighty, welcome back to Locked On NBA Big Board. We are doing a mock draft, and James has the easiest pick of the draft. The Memphis Grizzlies have their exact dream draft. Don't have to trade up. Fulfill their positional need, and they are selecting.
This is when ESPN cuts to everybody high-fiving in the war room. We're taking Donovan Clingan. I really don't need to explain, man. It's Donovan Clingan. Fills the need, best player available. Steven Adams. Light, if that's what you're looking for. He can pass. He's big. Blah. He's gonna rebound. Help. I mean, go ahead. You're up. Number 10, Utah Jazz.
Hardest pick of the draft now because I'm just deeply invested. But yeah, Saloun's off the board. Holland's off the board. Williams is off the board. Dillingham's off the board. Those are my top 4 guys for the Jazz. But the guy I would take is Nikola Topic. The reason I would take Topic is he's going to redshirt a year. I think it makes the Jazz have a direction chosen. That means the Jazz are transitioning to this guy as the point guard that you're hoping for. but your team's not going. You can internally get better, but your team's not going to be great. You're probably not going to make too many trades, and then next year you're committing to having a good pick in next year's draft, which is loaded, star-studded, and now you have a point guard, you can get a wing, and you have a 2 guard in Keontae George in this case, assuming Topic pans out, comes back healthy, and there's a young nucleus around Lowry Markin that I think positionally makes sense, and there's potential at a lot of different spots, I should say.
I like the pick. I like it. It works for me. I like Keontae, and I think you need 2 playmakers in today's NBA, especially with like a young guy like Keontae who's still trying to figure out if I'm a point guard or am I a scoring point guard or I'm a 2, and it's perfectly fine. He exceeded expectations. I don't know if you would agree, but he exceeded expectations as a playmaker last year.
That's exactly what I said on Locked On Jazz yesterday. Like, people are being critical of, is he the point guard of the future? You don't typically draft one at 16 that's never played point guard before. The fact it's a question is a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah, he exceeded expectations, and adding another guy won't hurt, especially like he'll get a second year to handle the ball, because if you redshirt Topic, then that's, he still has keys to figure it out. And like I said, you look at these teams in the playoffs that made deep runs, the Mavs, the ball was in 2 guys' hands. Oklahoma City, they had 2 guys handling the ball. Boston has 4, and that's all, ultimately the direction you want to get to, right? They split it up, but I think adding Topic would be perfect there. And like I said, it doesn't disrupt the timeline, it doesn't disrupt Keontae as a playmaker. Like, I really like the fit there.
Yeah, I think it's a good fit. I think there's upside there because if his tools pan out, he's among the better players in this class. So let's round out the lottery. Number 11 goes to the Chicago Bulls. They just made a trade, and that was trading Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey, straight up. So now you have a guard. And Lonzo Ball could be coming back at some point. What do the Chicago Bulls do? Because they're in no man's land.
All right, so I'm assuming you're getting rid of Zach LaVine here. Oh man, I don't like Chicago, man. I really don't. And this pick is okay. So I got a slam dunk with Klingon, right? And now I got to shoot a half court shot with the Chicago Bulls, who need to be a full blow up, but they keep pump faking. We are going to go with Dalton Connect. Yes, we got to go Connect here because Josh Giddey can't shoot. So that gives us a backcourt combination of Giddey, Kobe White, much improved, and Connect, who can flat out shoot. And if they do keep DeRozan, he'll be able to play off of, because he's a great shooter. So, yeah, we'll go Connect right there.
All righty. Well, there's a couple big names that are falling. The OKC Thunder are in win now mode, so I don't know if you really want a project. And they're drafting at 12. So I'm going to go with a little bit of a project, but he figures into their future at a position of need. I'm going with Yves Missi.
Did you stretch?
I don't know. I don't know what you're going for.
Did you stretch on that reach?
That's not a reach. I think he's good. I think he's really good.
I don't think that he's not good. I don't know if that's where they go. But they did just take Caruso. So I guess they're saying, okay, we're cool. We'll run it back with our guard rotation.
But the thing is, would be like, okay, do you take Buzelis? Well, he's not going to play over Jalen Williams. He's not going to play over Isaiah Joe. He's not going to play over all these guys they have in front. So if you're looking at positions and you look at upside, I think you mix the two. That Missi's got upside. He runs like a gazelle. Yes. He attacks the glass. He jumps high, defends the rim, and he can play backup minutes as an energy guy. And he doesn't have to be good immediately, but if he pans out well, that's frosting on the cake right there. Like that's not what you're expecting necessarily from day one, but I don't think there's a player more like Derek Lively in this class than him. And Lively was a better prospect. I'm not trying to. And like, I was high on Lively, and you know who I said the Thunder should take last year? Derek Lively. So I just see a need for the Thunder to rebound well. They have a lot of things going for them. And if you can get someone with an upside as well as an immediate positional need, why not? They got a lot of good things going for them. Why not?
I'm sold. I didn't think he would be I think he will be the second center off the board, but I don't peg him as a lottery pick. But I'm still trying to figure out which direction Oklahoma City's going now. Again, them trading for Caruso, there can't be too many more guard spots left. So it does make sense for them to go big. And I don't even know who would be an available free agent for them. But hey, man, I like it. So with the final pick of the lottery here, I think you have an idea where I am going to go. Sacramento Kings, they did bring back Malik Monk. I didn't think they were going to be able to do it. He took it looks like a hometown discount. So that is a really big plus. They are still rumored to be interested in Zach LaVine here, moving him or moving to get him. So, but I don't know what the Bulls are going to do. Who knows ever what the Bulls are going to do. I am still going to go with Jalen Tyson here at 13. Again, just in case you don't trade the pick, just in case, the Bulls do some Chicago Bulls stuff, you get a 6'7" small forward that creates his own offense and that can shoot. And now your backcourt has improved because you get a healthy Monk back, and now you get a young guy at 21 who can create his own shot and knock down shots. Should be able to play the two-man game with Sabonis. I'm going Jalen Tyson here to round out my lottery pick.
That's the exact pick I made on Locked On Kings the other day. My final pick at number 14, rounding it out. This is not an easy pick either, but I think you got to go best player available, and he slid far enough, and that's Matas Buzelis going to the Portland Trailblazers. There's a chance they take him at 7 in the actual NBA draft. Getting him at 14 is too much individual ability to fall, too many tools. I'm low on Buzelis. I have him outside my top 10, but he is 6'10". He is a fluid athlete, and some people believe in his creation ability off the bounce attacking. I'm not particularly a believer. I don't think his handles are all that tight. And if your handles aren't all that tight at that height, you're going to have trouble at the weight he's operating at right now. He's not going to be able to back people down either. But in a class devoid of like top end tools, he's got some tools that I think are impressive. And at 14, you definitely take a swing on those. A guy I would have considered if it had not been the Blazers, because the Blazers have just too many guards, I would have considered Bub Carrington.
Interesting. I like that. I like Buzelis here. I think absolutely with these two picks that Portland should draft similar guys and let them figure it out because they absolutely need it. And I ultimately think Buzelis is going to end up playing the 4. I definitely think T-John is going to play the 4. And you know what? If you move Jeremy Grant, whenever you decide to move him, there should be 24 minutes a night for both of these guys because, Portland is in the asset collecting phase of their rebuild. So I'm not mad at the pick here. I don't have a pick. I would entertain Tyler Smith here at 14 because I know exactly what he can do. He is athletic and he can shoot. So, but that would be me. I like him more than Buzelis, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't mind that pick at all. I think I have him 16. A couple other players that I've seen commonly mocked in these spots have been Tristan Da Silva, Jalen Tyson, who we just went a pick before. But for those of you wondering, those type of players that are a little older figure into this pick, as there's a lot of assets being built that are young. Maybe a few will be a little older for the Blazers as well. Well, that wraps up the lottery. That was non-conventional. It was not something that you expect. I mean, from the first pick through the 14th, I think we probably went away from the consensus. But you know what? Individuality matters in scouting, and I think the differing opinions can inform thoughts. So those of you draft junkies who are loving our content, make sure to keep listening. We appreciate it. But also thank you for making it your first listen, but also watch Locked On NBA talk about the Josh Giddey trade that just happened. Giddey for Caruso. Listen to the breakdown on Locked On NBA. And also, just one last question for you guys. Have you guys heard about this already? Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels up. So thank you guys for listening. We'll be back with you again with another episode tomorrow. Let us know what you think of our wacky mock draft.
Let's run it back tomorrow, Leif. Let's finish out the first round.
Okay, let's do it.